Hello, everybody, and welcome to Frankenstein's podcast, where it's all about the monster. We are a creature feature podcast about monsters and why we love them. I'm one of your hosts, Joe Praska, and with me, as always, is
your other host, Khalid Hussein.
How's it going, Khalid?
Oh, I'm groovy, Joe. I am great. Actually, I might be overselling it. I'm not groovy, but I am getting over like a 3-day bug. So we're recording this on Sunday. So Friday, started to feel the tickle on the throat. Everybody knows that, like, I'm about to get sick tickle. Friday evening, I took it easy. I knew it was going to hit. Saturday, it was horrible. I was crawling around for dear life. Didn't know what I was going to do. I eventually did the smart thing and just gave myself a never ending rotation of citrus and tea. And then in between there somewhere, I managed to order some ramen, which I'm so thankful that I actually just bothered to do that. I usually don't, but I got the ramen. I went out, I got myself the miracle drug that is NyQuil, and I'm on day 3 and I'm on the mend. I'm here. I'm in fighting shape again. You wouldn't believe that I'd written my last will and testament yesterday.
I also wouldn't believe that you're feeling pretty good based on what you told me before recording. You sounded pretty miserable. So
I'm a dramatic whiner. I'm a dramatic whiner, but I'm also a braggart. You just have to.
I appreciate you. Yeah, you step it up for the recording process. I appreciate that.
Exactly. Don't pay me into one corner as a person, Joe. I contain multitudes.
Right. Well, I'm sitting here surrounded by boxes because I think I may have mentioned on a previous podcast, we are moving our houses, moving from Minneapolis across the river to St. Paul. A couple weeks, almost ready, but everything is packed up. Not everything. A lot of stuff is packed up, so I'm living in flux, and that kind of sucks. But
yeah, I'm dreading it too because then I have to stop being friends with you since I made an oath to never be friends with someone from St. Paul. That's usually
the case from people who live in the Twin Cities, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just it's a taste thing. It's a decorum thing. I don't prefer it. I don't prefer to mingle.
Yeah, well, it's been good. It's been good, Khalid. I had a good time.
We had a great run. I can't complain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Good luck to you.
Yeah. Thanks, buddy. Well, anyway, that being said, we're gonna have to cut the. I know, Khalid, you've been giving a lot of updates on your meal prepping and your adulting in your life. We're gonna cut that a little short today, so our home and gardening segment might be in a different podcast again, because we actually have a guest today, which I'm very, very excited about. We've only had, I think, one other guest since we started the show back up again a couple months ago. But joining us today is Felicia Ho, who is a TV and film writer who's done projects with Amazon Studios, Netflix, HBO. And has a lot of cool upcoming projects and has worked on the project we're talking about today specifically as well. So welcome, Felicia.
Hi, how's it going? I'm excited to be here.
We're so excited to have you. Thanks for joining us.
For sure. First off, I need to know, what is the beef between people across the river in Minneapolis and was it St. Paul? What's the deal with that?
Yeah. The Twin Cities. I don't know. It's kind of made up. I don't know. They're just like two major cities who are literally just.
It's one major city and one weird city nobody talks about. Don't try to make it seem like they're on even keel, Joe.
Is there some kind of rivalry?
I mean, kind of. There's like a very different vibe. So they're so close, but there's a very different vibe. So Minneapolis is kind of more of I don't know, for lack of a better word, I guess maybe the more hip city. I don't know. I'm going to get yelled at by all my neighbors when I move. But St. Paul is more quieter. It's kind of described as a big small town.
The basic bitch of the two. Is that what I'm hearing?
You hit the nail right on the head, Felicia. You didn't miss a beat with that.
It might just be. I think 32-year-old me, I guess, at this point, I'm ready for the basic bitch city, I guess.
Of the two twins, that's the kind of homelier twin that, the hot twin Minneapolis will invite it out for a double date every once in a while. But in general, everybody knows the deal.
Okay. I see. So it sounds like St. Paul is the tag along, little sister who maybe is not invited to all the whatever. So, okay, I got it. I see.
You got it. You got it. Yeah, you summed it up right.
You got the vibe. We got the Capitol, though. That's cool.
Oh, okay.
Consolation prize, if you ask me. But okay.
I mean, how often do we love hanging out at City Hall? But, that it is.
Oh, yeah.
I'm wishing you the best luck with
I'm there every other day. Thanks. Appreciate it.
Oh, man.
Well, cool. I hope when I
yes.
take a trip to Minneapolis, I have a place, or St. Paul, I have a place to stay then. But
You could stay in St. Paul, but then go to Minneapolis to have fun.
Just don't tell anybody you're staying in St. Paul. You should be fine.
Yeah, we'll be good.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, Felicia, being on the podcast, I have a couple new guest questions that I'm going to ask you. Just kind of general monstery stuff, since this is a monster podcast. Are you ready?
For sure.
So, first question is, what in any corner of pop culture, be like a book, movie, show, or anything like that, what would you say your favorite like monster or creature is? And if it's not the same, what would you consider the scariest for you?
Well, okay, I was thinking about this, and I think for me, the most impactful, it's not really a monster or creature, but if we're talking about just any, like, in my opinion, like, I consider The Terminator to be a horror film. I mean, I don't know if that's maybe controversial.
That works, yeah.
Okay, so I would say The Terminator is for me probably like the most insidious monster, just because it's like literally traveling through time, and it's an unstoppable force. You can't reason with it. You can't outrun it. Like, it's coming for you, you know? So I find that to be the most formidable monster, or just the one that has always like sort of grasped my imagination and sort of, you know, taught me about what it means to be terrified of something. In terms of the scariest, I would say it's the creature from, I guess you would call it a creature from It Follows. That whole like, also is of a similar ilk to the Terminator, but I would say that that's the scariest for me, because I don't know, like it's so metaphorical. It's got all these like meanings. It's so, I don't know, it's just a very suffocating, claustrophobic experience of being chased and hunted down by something that, you know, whose sort of like visage can be taken upon by any sort of like person that you don't know. It's just so terrifying. So yeah.
Yeah, and that calm, the calm relentlessness of it all. Like, they're not stressed. Like, if they get you in right now, if they get you in a day, they're still coming for you. That's so terrifying.
Yeah, and there's the rules to it are not so clear. It's kind of just, you know, there is no real way to escape. I think it's just that sort of inescapableness, especially from like a supernatural or otherworldly force. Like it feels so like suffocating, I guess. I don't like to feel suffocated, and both of those, the Terminator and the It Follows creature, has that nature to it, I think.
Totally.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. That's a good answer. We actually did an episode on the It Follows monster. It was one of our early ones, so that was a fun one to dig into. But it's definitely absolutely terrifying.
Yeah, we got to do Terminator these days.
I think so. I think we've had actually someone else make the case that Terminator is a monster. I think that totally works.
Yeah, definitely counts.
Yeah, we haven't done any robots. We should do robots. Yeah,
we did RoboCop.
We did RoboCop. You're right. That kind of counts.
Robots in the name.
In the episode that you guys were doing on It Follows, like what did you sort of come away, like what was the thesis of that episode, or just like, because I haven't heard it, so I would love a summary of that. How did it feel to explore that?
I guess from a filmmaking standpoint, it was cool reading up about it. Like, the one tidbit that I found was like the dude that basically tricks the main girl that like starts the whole movie, you know, he has like sex with her but doesn't tell her that he's possessed or whatever. When they go to search his house, they see that like he's actually living in a house that's like specifically designed for him to have like multiple exits to escape should the It Follows demon like get into the house unexpectedly, and he can just escape. So for me, at least, it was like in the same way as Terminator. It's like, oh, okay, so like you basically have to just become like a survivalist in like the most pragmatic sense. Like, you can't just go into a room with one door exiting. Like, you have to have like a million backup plans. It's just it's suffocating, like you said, and it's just I personally couldn't put that much forethought into every step of my life. That just sounds exhausting.
Yeah, I think it's that nature of constantly like never feeling calm and safe or secure. I mean, like, it's something that you kind of see in slashers, especially like, but like those are kind of, you kind of understand like why you're being pursued or why there's a killer out there. It's like, the teenagers who go to like a cabin in the woods, or like, Michael Myers, who's like tracking down the people in his life. Like those are all kind of, you can explain those, but with both of these, like the Terminator and It Follows, like it feels like such a sort of, it's like so tied to the fate and the destiny and the sort of chaotic nature of life that you just can't, like, it feels like no matter what you do or where you go or where you run to, there's no way to escape that feeling. And I guess maybe it's like a metaphor for the pressures of like the societal forces that will continue to follow or whatever, so it's just, I think like that's why it speaks so much to me, like as creatures and monsters in this space, because they're so higher powered, I guess.
I mean, in both cases, it's kind of a metaphor for like adulthood. With It Follows, it's the more obvious idea of like, having sex and like the responsibilities that come with that. But then even in the original Terminator, what's her name? Is it Linda Hamilton?
Yes.
She's like a young woman who's like a waitress or whatever, but then it's like all of a sudden like she has to like think about the future in a very consequential way that could be like global warming or what have you. And even the sequel with like the putting all that pressure on a younger kid who has like even less time than she did to try and like help avert disaster.
Totally. Yeah, it's the obvious one, which is like the inescapable, like, the future catching up with you, like in thinking about in the 80s, like that's when the sort of like revolution into like more of a digital space was happening. And so like that very obvious like one-to-one of, like being supplanted by like robotics or artificial intelligence, like that's all there as well. So yeah, very cool stuff.
Yeah, you guys did a pretty good through line from Terminator to It Follows. Actually, that's a pretty good thesis in itself.
I love, or I'm terrified of being chased by men. I think that's what it is. It's just that overwhelming feeling of living in a patriarchal society. And yeah, anyways, that's neither here nor there though. But you know what? I think now it's gotten me thinking about like doing a thesis on like, the horror of being pursued by faceless, nameless men in modern society from a feminist perspective.
I think you're onto something.
Yeah.
I went to school. I was a critical studies major at USC Film School. So I think everything that it's always thinking about like, oh, how would this play in like a critical studies thesis paper? It's always like, I'm always thinking about that.
That's what you do for fun, some critical studies papers.
Exactly. I always think of, I don't know if you guys ever saw like on Twitter, they used to have that like guy in your honors MFA class or something. And it was always these tweets that were like, thinking of the worst, like think piece op-ed from like a hipster, like a wireframe
Yeah.
glasses, dude. Like I'm always thinking in terms of that, but it's always about like movies and pop culture and its political context and historical meaning. Like it's so annoying. I'm sure I annoy a lot of my friends with that. Sometimes it's ironic, but sometimes it's extremely
I think that makes
earnest.
you perfect for this podcast.
Yeah, no, that's kind of all we do here.
That's what we do. Yeah.
Love it.
I mean, that is actually, it kind of segues into our next question. What do you consider to be like on your geek card? Like what are your geeky like fandoms, or what do you think you're geeky about?
I've always been really geeky about movies in general. I'm always like, I pretty much go through life basically saying this is like this meets this. I'm always like, in any scenario or social event or family outing or like date situation, I'm always comparing things to things being like, oh, this is like Terminator meets Die Hard, or this is like, and I'm sure that's the most like, because, people aren't always comparing their life experiences to two movies mashed up together, but this is the thing that I geek out on all the time. And I'm always like, even when someone's telling me a story about their life, I'm like, oh, you could turn that into a movie. You can make it, like Superbad meets, Spring Breakers or something. And that's what I geek out on all the time. I guess that's what makes me a good writer, is because I'm always thinking of stories in that way.
You're thinking in elevator pitches?
Always. And I feel like that's also, it's also like a weakness of just living in LA for too long and working in the industry because I've been out here for like 10 years now. And I think like the whole time that I've been out here, I've either been like tangentially involved in filmmaking or like straight up involved in especially the business side of it. So, yeah, I guess that's what I geek out on a lot, the movie industry.
Understandable. You're in the right place for it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
In the right place, as in LA or in Frankenstein's podcast?
LA, Joe.
Oh, I felt like both.
It's both. It's both. Yeah. So Felicia, we're gonna dig in a little bit to the show Girl in the Woods, which you were a writer on. But I wanted to ask you just a little bit about your career in general before we really dug into that. Are you able to talk about some of the other projects that you're working on?
I can probably vaguely talk about them. They're genre bending adaptations of graphic novels. So like I was writing on a show for Amazon Studios, and then I'm in development on a pilot with them right now, and both of them are like live action adaptations of graphic novels.
Ooh.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much all I can say about it. But yeah, it's I'm very excited about them. I think like they're projects that I really am. I pinch myself every day, like kind of waking up being like, I can't believe I get to write this show, and I get to like be the voice of this character. And yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing now. In terms of like other things that I've worked on, I most recently, before this, I wrote on season 2 of Gremlins, the series for HBO Max, and I wrote they're redoing the Kung Fu Panda movies, or they're not redoing it, but they rebooted it into like a TV series for Netflix, and I wrote the holiday special episode that's centered around Chinese New Year, and so I wrote that holiday special like ep that's probably going to be premiering next year, and that I think that those are the public stuff, the stuff that I'm okay to say publicly right now.
That's so cool.
Thank you. I'm also developing a feature. I'm writing it with this director, Matthew Frost. That's kind of like it's a slasher horror comedy set in the music industry. So I'm also doing that.
Oh, wow.
We'll definitely have to keep our eyes out for that, for sure.
Yes, that would be that. I mean, like, you know, fingers crossed it'll go. Of course, it's just in development right now. So that means that like financing still needs to be found, and we're still like a far ways away from that being an actual thing, but it's currently my day-to-day.
Cool. Well, best of luck. Fingers crossed for advancement there.
Thank you.
Yeah. Khalid is definitely more of the kind of the writer LA guy between the two of us. So I'm just kind of curious, and maybe Khalid already knows the like similar ideas here, but between like writing like shows like Girl in the Woods, or some of these other projects like Kung Fu Panda, like animation to live action, is there like a big difference in like vibe between writing like an animated show versus like a live action series?
Well, in an animated show, you're definitely not tied to production restrictions, so you can kind of go as big as you want to. You can be a little bit more like fantastical, and you know, where you're able to go is just like so much further. With live action, it's like not only are you thinking about the minute details, like how exactly am I going to shoot this, but then you also have to think in scale of like, do we have the budget in production to create a new set piece for this, or do we, how can we utilize like already built location, or like already built set pieces or locations, or casting restrictions, while in animated television, like you just don't have that, which is like so much more freeing. And so like you can get really, like the where you can go with animation is just like so much more fun, and all that. But there is something I think like with my personal opinion on it is like in live action, especially if you get great performances and great actors, like you can convey so much of like the human spirit into live action that you just can't really get with animation. Or maybe you can, but I think like, that's on the level of like Pixar or like I think, it's just more about like a spiritual versus like a literal thing, that the two sort of like do not compare in that way. But yeah, I think, and with animation, I think like when you're writing it, you want to make sure that things are flowing constantly. In live action, you can kind of have like longer dialogue pieces, while in animation, you kind of need like a lot of stuff to happen on each page, because you don't just want like two characters talking flatly in a scene, because that doesn't play as well in animated shows or whatever, like features.
Right. Fascinating. So it sounds kind of like live action there's a little bit more of a box that you're working within, but there's still something special to it. And even, I guess what you're saying with animation, there's like even some formats that you would need to follow there too. That's so fascinating. Thank you.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It seems like you've kind of carved a little bit of a niche for yourself in like working on shows and things that are like within like the sci-fi, horror, fantasy genres. Is that sort of what you always saw yourself doing?
I think that like it's tough, because I think like for me what got me started was I loved like comedy television. Like I grew up watching It's Always Sunny, Arrested Development, Mad TV, SNL, and I always thought that like um comedic performances and that like that was what I really loved watching. But then I was also like really like when I was in high school, like I started getting into like I watched Blade Runner, Terminator, and Alien all like back to back to back. And I think like that also unlocked something else in me. And then I also started getting really into horror. So when I saw Jennifer's Body, that was like a moment that sort of like showed me the possibility of like what you can do in the horror space. Because before, like it had always been, I didn't really like the idea of like, the terrorized women, or like, the final girl who sort of is just repeatedly subjected to like torturous scenes. And that was just really not what I was into. But then when I saw Jennifer's Body, and it was like all about sort of the complexity of female friendship and using horror as like a way to convey like really difficult themes and topics, I was like, oh, this is something that I could actually use to convey storytelling in like a way that I never thought of before. So I think like after I saw that and got into horror a little more, like that's when I started gearing more towards like genre bending and like horror spaces. Another like really influential movie for me was Shaun of the Dead, especially and Cabin in the Woods. So like any sort of horror comedy that was like a mashup of both. And I would say that like as a writer, like what I really gravitate towards is horror comedy genre bending, and also like strong female protagonists. Which again, what does strong female protagonists mean? I'm not really sure, because like strength comes in so many different forms. But like just sort of like I guess like the perspective of like a modern female protagonist in facing society's horrors. I guess is like kind of where I like to live in right now.
Awesome. Yeah, you name dropped a ton of our favorite things. I think we've done a couple of those movies on the podcast also too.
I think I just saw Cabin in the Woods last week.
Was that your first time watching it, Khalid?
No, I've seen it a bunch, but I don't know, something made me want to watch it again, and it holds up. It's great.
Yeah.
I listened to your guys' Shaun of the Dead episode, and I really enjoyed that. That was cool.
Oh, thank you.
I legit forgot we did a Shaun of the Dead episode.
That was your idea too.
Was it? Sounds like me. Yeah. I mean, good on me then. That was a great suggestion.
Yeah, good job, Khalid.
Yeah, thank you.
One last question I have for you before we dig into Girl in the Woods. Is there do you have like any goals of like any big like franchise you ever want to dip into? Like a lot of the projects, I mean, I guess Kung Fu Panda is kind of a like I guess a franchise in a sense now, but any like major like MCU or Star Wars, Star Trek kind of thing like that?
It's tough because on one hand, I feel like I have my sensibility is more towards like indies and art house.
Yeah.
I don't even want to say like A24 movies because it feels so like pretentious and presumptuous about like, the delineation of like, oh, like what's like a, production company, like if that's a production company, like they're trying to sell their movies and they're trying to sell a certain tone or quality. But I think like for me, like I prefer to do like independent contained stories but and the thing is like if Marvel or Star Wars came knocking, like I wouldn't turn them down. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure everybody
Yeah.
has the goal to like be a writer for one of those companies because they're like, star making vehicles, not just for like, actors, but like directors, writers, etc. But in terms of like my goals as a creative, like I think I would want to eventually like direct a feature that I wrote. And that would be, that to me, that would be like my overall sort of career goal. Not really, I don't know, like franchise wise, I think like, I mean, maybe like writing something for like Felicia Hardy from Spider-Man because we share the same name,
Oh.
or perhaps Felicia the Darkstalkers character in Street Fighter or something. Capcom versus Street
Ooh.
Fighter. Also because
So
we
just
share similar names.
Felicia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
cool. I
Okay.
would like to be the voice of all Felicias across the world. Really, just take back the name that's been sort of dragged through the mud in the last whatever decade, 2 decades.
Oh my God. Yeah. The amount of
Oh
people that
yeah.
have said bye to you in a disparaging way must be so annoying.
Exactly. I mean, I still like, I've been getting it for no lie, like 10 years of my life now. And I feel like I still just don't even have the right reaction or like, because it's just like, yeah, it's my name. I don't know. To me, it's very normal, but to everyone else, it's like really funny, but
Oh,
whatever.
they, I haven't had a normal life since DJ Khaled hit the scene. Like
Mm.
as soon as his career started, it immediately became an icebreaker for anybody who just met me and found out my name.
Well, and
Yeah.
also there's that artist Khalid. So it's like you get
Yeah,
it
that
on
didn't
both
help
sides.
things either. Yeah, it's just at this point I am like the third or fourth most significant Khalid in most people's lives, and it shows.
But at least it's kind of good though, because this way people don't mispronounce your name. You
Oh,
know,
they still do. They still find a way.
that's
Yeah,
tough.
it's okay though. It's okay. I'm used to it. I had the substitute teachers that butchered names. I'm used to it by now.
Yeah, that's for me. It was like throughout grade school, I got it on. Well, not for the first like 15 years of my life, but my last name is Ho, so like PE was really hard for me because the PE teachers would call me by my last name, and everybody would get a good laugh out of
Mm.
that.
Ooh.
So I've been the punchline for
Aw.
most of my life, and that's perfectly fine with me. I live very well in that space.
Kids can be cruel.
So
It's true.
true. Joe, anything to
Absolutely
add to
true.
that, or has life been very easy for you name wise?
Most people can say Joe pretty well. I used to have this, most people can. Yeah. I will say I used to have this aversion to Sloppy Joes as a kid because it bothered me that I shared the name with Sloppy Joes. And now as an adult, I really like Sloppy Joe. So I guess I was just missing out.
Yeah, you just robbed yourself of like a creature comfort just because it happened to share a name with you.
Pretty much, I guess.
Like I still listen to DJ Khaled. I didn't blame him for other people's ignorance.
Yeah.
Joe,
It's a lesson I had to learn in my life.
Are you a very neat person, Joe?
I would say I try to be.
Okay. I'm curious, what are your star signs?
My star signs? Pisces.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Khalid?
Yeah. What are you, Khalid?
Sagittarius, baby.
Oh, okay. All right.
And how about you?
I'm a Virgo. I feel
My
like
wife's a Virgo.
I'm sorry?
My wife's a Virgo too. Our also frequent guest of the podcast, Nicole.
Oh,
Nikki.
yes.
Yeah.
Pisces and Virgos are historically a good romantic match.
That's what I hear.
Yes. And then I myself am currently dating a Sagittarius, and my ex-husband was a Sagittarius. So I don't know. It's a toss-up.
Is there anything about like Pisces and Sagittarius being good podcast hosts? Like, is that a thing?
I don't think the ancient texts have said anything about podcast hosting specifically, but I'm sure that Pisces and Sagittarii are there's something linking the two, I think. Well, Pisces is a water sign and a Sagittarius is a fire. So maybe it's like that's like good sort of like tit for tat, point counterpoint.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we're making a case for that, Khalid.
Yeah, we stay titting and tatting. I can vouch for that.
Sorry. I'm just thinking of titting and tatting.
It's what we do.
Yeah.
Rename the podcast Tit for Tat.
I was just thinking that. That's a great name. That's a great name. Yeah. Oh no. All right. Khalid, do you have a synopsis for us to dig into Girl in the Woods with?
I do. It's from our homeboy Google. Goes a little something like this. We are talking about the 2021 series Girl in the Woods. And the synopsis goes like this. Carrie Ecker escapes from her cult-like colony in the woods, dead set on building a new life in the sleepy mining town of West Pine Ore. Oh, is that Oregon?
That's
Oregon.
But when dangerous figures from her past hunt her down, she embraces the role she left behind, that of a monster killer trained to protect the world from unthinkable horrors that live behind a secret door in the woods. Based on two short films, the series also touches on contemporary social issues like discrimination, the human cost of environmentalism, and the consequences of inequality. Done.
What a monster.
They're creatures of the abstract that live off potential energy.
It's alive!
And there's actually a really good synopsis. Like
That
some of the
was
ones we read are like
really
a
in-depth.
sentence.
Yeah, who wrote that?
The breach one. The breach one is like Bruce Willis is in it, and then they just added like a shrug emoji. Like that might as well be what it was.
This was a really good one. I mean, it's fitting. It's a good show.
Yeah, no, it's really good. Whoever did the Google synopsis for this loves the show.
Wow.
Yep. Felicia, what brought you to this? Because you're a writer in this show, and how many of the episodes did you work on?
So I have I guess solo script credit for episode 5. But the process of this writer's room was kind of interesting and different than most writers' rooms. It was basically me and the showrunner. We worked on I forget if it's 7 or 8 episodes, all of the episodes together. She had come into the writer's room with a synopsis or a brief sort of plot for each episode prior to us starting working together. But then as we were sort of breaking each episode, we broke each episode, and I also helped to rewrite the prior 4 episodes. So we were working on those. It was so interesting a process because we wrote for 10 weeks on 8 episodes between the two of us. So it was a very quick process. But I have solo credit for 1 episode, which is episode 5. And I have a teleplay credit, not writing credit.
Okay. How did you feel about how the show turned out? I mean, I'm sure you watched it, right?
Oh, yeah. I'm very proud of it. I thought all of the performers did an incredible job. I thought Will Yun Lee was absolutely amazing as Arthur, and I thought the teens were incredible incredibly cast, and they did such a brilliant job of bringing these characters to life. I thought all of it just looked incredible and amazing, and it was just like a great experience. And seeing it come to life, like on Peacock, it was like, wow, it's more than I could have ever imagined. It was brilliant.
Yeah, that's so cool. I actually wrote in my notes when I was watching the show that William Leese really stood out to me as that character. Like, kind of brought this like interesting touch of humanity to the character that I feel like, in different hands, very well could have been just kind of like a villain character, but he made him just brought depth to it with this presence, really.
Yeah. And I think this is like something that we talked about a lot in the writer's room, which I guess, this, when I say writer's room, I just mean me and the other writer. Like
the two of you.
Yeah. Like we talked a lot about how we didn't want like the villains to come off as very arch or one-sided or one-dimensional. Like we wanted to give them depth. And so when I was writing my episode, I really took care to like make it so that, both, like you could understand both Carrie and Arthur's relationship, and where a lot of that sort of like the opposition to one another in that episode comes from a lot of like love. And for me, like that's a very it's an episode that's very close to me, close to my heart, because as I was writing it, like I was imagining like it took me back to like when I was like I'd been married for 7 years of my life prior to that point. So when I got divorced, like you have so much history with this person that you shared a life with, and we had been together for 9 years. So you had so much that you share with this person, but on one hand, it's like you have to go and separate and go your different ways and paths in life. And so for me, like writing that episode, I put a lot of what I learned from that journey that I had been on, and sort of like the love that's really that's sort of seeded into both people, but like when you guys are in opposition to one another, and how that sort of like love can turn into anger and hatred and resentment so quickly. That was just like, to me, that's why I'm really proud of like the work that I did on that episode, because like there's a lot of that I think that you can feel in the relationship between the two characters. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's so cool to hear. I mean, that's so interesting to hear. Like it's, I would say that it comes off like, I think that the scenes between the two characters, especially that confrontation when they're in the RV, was it's palpable. It's really well done, and seeing the flashbacks kind of like throughout the series as it really like builds their relationships and shows us like the closeness that they really do have for each other. Like, yeah, it did come off really powerful. So yeah, kudos.
Wow, thank you.
Yeah. Khalid, I bring you in here. What were your thoughts on the show? And I think you watched it a little. Did you? Not too long ago, right?
Yeah, no. I mean, I finished the whole series a couple weeks ago. I watched it like over a matter of like 2-3 weeks. I really enjoyed it. By the way, well done to you and the team. This is a great show. It was real fun to watch. I love the YA like monster genre. That's right up my alley. So I think just speaking to the William Lee character and just like Carrie's entire cult, that whole part really stuck out to me as somebody who grew up in like Ethiopian like Muslim refugee community in Minneapolis. Like just that whole feeling of like you're in society but you're not in society. Like it's like heavily encouraged to like, just because you're here doesn't mean you should participate, which is like a very jarring thing for like a child of immigrants to like process at that young age. You want to just like, why wouldn't you want to be a part of the culture that you're like spend 99% of your day in? So I really thought it was like an interesting, like just through that lens, watching Carrie kind of like bristle against that and want something that she shouldn't feel guilty for wanting, but they definitely make her feel like she should be guilty.
Totally. Yeah. I completely 100% agree with that. I mean, talking about like being a part of the culture, but not really. Like I grew up in the San Francisco Bay Area, and my parents are both Taiwanese immigrants. And so there's also definitely elements of that where growing up, it's like you kind of feel like you're invisible in a lot of ways, and you're kind of observing, people. Like, for me, the reason why I love movies so much, and why I grew up just really wanting to like be in entertainment, was because like I was an only child. Like, I still am an only child, but growing up, like I especially like being a kid of immigrant parents, like I totally didn't understand like how other people functioned in society, especially like, Americans, and not really getting, why it was that I'm occupying the same space but not really like in the conversation or like feeling like a part of the community. And so for me, like watching movies allowed me like insight into understanding like human interaction, and even in some ways like teaching me the language of how to, speak to people, and just, the literal language, like words. And so yeah, I think all of that, it's just it really feeds into each other. And I think like that's why to me like movies and TV are so important to, I don't know, just like shaping young minds and like forming the culture and all that.
Oh, totally. Yeah, TV was definitely a big teacher for me as a kid too. I definitely cut a lot of corners just by being able to like turn on the TV and like understand things that otherwise would just be like foreign to me.
Totally. Yeah.
Yeah, so outside of that, I really like the relationship between Tasha, Carrie, and Nolan. It was a very like it was endearing overall is the word I guess I would use, but like it's definitely like one of those things where like all three of them, like there's like a sexual component to it, but also just like very much like they're all in one way or another leaning heavily on each other in a way that I felt was very real to like teenage relationships. Can you speak to that at all?
Um, yeah, I mean, I guess a lot of that, well, I guess, I suppose sorry, what was the question? I was like trying to, I was trying
I
to like
guess
think about.
I guess I didn't really ask a question so much as a comment on it, but I guess if I to phrase it as a question, like what kind of thought went into like creating that dynamic between the three of them, where it's like especially between Nolan and is it Sasha? Sorry, Tasha.
Tasha.
Tasha, yeah. Yeah, like that relationship is like very complex and not really something that like I've seen tackled as much, especially with like kids that age. And I think it's important to tackle that relationship. I guess like the way that like Nolan almost like at the beginning of the series is like resentful of her,
Oh
like
yeah.
trying to make him more of like a masculine partner, and like the pressures of that versus like when Carrie enters the picture and then that attraction with Tasha and like all the complicated feelings there. I guess I'm just asking like how did breaking that relationship out over the season like play out for you guys? Like were there any like real considerations to the like overall plot, or was it just like right what felt right to these three?
I think that's like probably something that the other writer, Casey, could probably speak more to. I think because for her, like this, she really wanted to tell the story of like, you know, coming into like a teenager's sexuality and the experiences of a non-binary person having to sort of understand their place in um, I guess like a binary world, and sort of the expectations placed on individuals. And yeah, I think like that I don't, because I don't want to like talk about it, especially because I'm not personally like I'm not like I don't have experiences in that world or space. So I don't necessarily feel like totally comfortable talking about it because I feel like it wouldn't be like true to the characters. But a lot of that came from Casey and her sort of like experience with um, that side of things. Sorry, I couldn't be of more help, but yeah, like I didn't. To
Oh,
me, that
no,
was
no
like,
worries.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah, so that's okay. It's just such a cool part of the series in general. Like I wrote down too while watching it that the way that sexuality and identity played a big role, like within the kind of the main three, was really cool to see. Like I think both Clete and I find like YA, like genre stuff like this in our wheelhouse too. And I feel like this kind of blazed its own trail within that genre in a lot of regards. And in that especially, I think that their journeys through that was so kind of cool to watch. I think that one scene that really stands out to me is when the Nolan character comes out to their father as non-binary.
Yes.
And the father character, like it just really perfectly illustrates this like short-sightedness of somebody who like kind of consider themselves to be like open-minded and maybe progressive, but really is not quite there, like, because the dad's like, whatever, just fake it through high school, and is not, and thinks he's being helpful. So it was just a really cool depiction of that, where the father wasn't this like ultimate like evil per se, or this like imposing like bad figure, but like was doing the wrong thing.
Well, doesn't he even say like, I wish you were just gay or something easier to like?
He does, yeah. And then he like makes a joke about, oh, there's all these genders now, that kind of thing. It was a very well done scene, but yeah, it was tough to watch though too,
Yeah,
like such a devastating thing to hear.
Yeah, right.
Totally. Yeah. Casey and I rewrote that scene like a bunch of times because we definitely wanted to like get it right and also not make it seem like we wanted Nolan's father to be almost feel like they were being helpful, but also just like totally not getting it. So that was like, a very important scene to have in the episode. And I feel like it comes through, I'm sure a lot of people who have had similar experiences probably can see a lot of, that sort of like like the parenting of wanting to say the right thing, but not knowing, and then making it worse and all of that. So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It just felt like a really real scene.
That's great. I'm so glad.
I feel like, so you mentioned, Khalid, in the synopsis that this was based on 2 short films. Khalid, have you seen the short films?
I have not. Are they available online?
They're Crypt TV, who did The Birch, which we talked about in another episode.
Oh, okay. Well, I got to check it out now.
Yeah. I was just reading that in one of the short films, Cal Penn stars as the Arthur character.
Ooh, I love Cal Penn.
Yeah, that's kind of a fun cast.
Who doesn't love that guy?
Great. I've seen that short once, and I think he did a really great job in it. But yeah, I think everything Crypt TV does is pretty cool. Like they're really breaking boundaries in that way, and pretty awesome.
Yeah, they're absolutely right up our alley. Like all their weird monster stuff is so much fun. Yeah, I'm excited to see more stuff that they're able to put out. Like seeing them actually kind of branching into like full on series rather than just the short films has been cool to see.
Totally.
Yeah, I saw. So on this, one of the names attached to the show is Kristen Ritter too, who directed first 4 episodes, I believe.
Oh yeah, I love her.
That's so cool. Did you get to interact with her much?
I didn't, because COVID. We wrote these episodes like at the beginning of 2021, and so there was still just like a lot of things up in the air about just like what the processes and safety protocols were. So I unfortunately did not, but Jacob Chase, who directed my episode, I did get to interact with him a little bit, and he was really cool and awesome. But yeah, the whole thing, I was just like, this is a dream team of creatives surrounding this whole like project. I was like really impressed by everything that they all did. I thought it was great.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, it's cool. It's such a cool, unique show. I feel like like we mentioned earlier, there's so many like big franchises out there, so it's cool to see something like this that's just kind of its own thing.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I'm sure you guys have given it thought without obviously telling us much, but like season 2, I'm sure you guys have like tossed around a few ideas.
I'm not sure. I don't know.
Oh, really?
I have no clue if that's on the horizon or anything. So, don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Gosh, the ending, I hope so.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, we talked about it briefly, like in the writer's room, but when we were writing the first season, but I don't think like, so much of that gets tossed out or, all that. So not really.
Ah, well, that's
Yeah.
interesting
Well,
to know. Yeah.
fingers crossed, though. I hope we'll see something.
Totally, me too.
So the next kind of part of the podcast, after we talk about the show a little bit, we kind of dig into the monsters, because that's sort of our wheelhouse really here. But the monsters in question in this show, there are a couple of them, but I think it kind of boils down to the overarching like envelope of monsters are called the Bloodherd of Gehenna.
Yes.
And yeah, they were cool. I like that I feel like we see like three kind of distinct creatures, and I did a little bit of research into this, and Felicia, you probably know way more than I do, but I found that there's the hypnotist, who's we see in the beginning, played by I think is Mark Steger, and there's the brute and the echo. Am I right?
Yes, correct.
Yes. And so it's kind of cool, because I think the hypnotist is the one who's sort of plaguing the town at first, in the first like half of the show, and then things just kind of start to go even more to hell, and that's when we start to see the brute and the echo. And I think I have actors' names. The brute is played by Douglas Tate, and the echo is played by Marina Mazepa, who's a contortionist who's also worked on Malignant. I saw.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was cool to see. I mean, I would say the echo one was the scariest for me. The one like where she's kind of like haunting Tasha throughout that episode, like just the sounds, and you're like, what is that sound? And then you can only see her in the mirror, was truly frightening. That was a great sequence of just like horror in general.
Totally, yeah. She's I mean, she did such an incredible job. I was like, all of that was so scary. It was so scary to write that. It was, all of these monsters also were like Casey's ideas. So like she came in with it, and she like knew exactly what she wanted, and it was mostly just about like, fitting them into the story and giving them scenes that would be like super scary. So I thought like, all of those monsters were just like, the brainchild of Casey's, and I thought they were incredibly well done. I know that the creature design was like done by the people who I believe did the Stranger Things creatures. So like it was the
That
same
makes sense.
special effects and everything. So like when we were writing the episodes, we were also getting like the rough illustrations of what those creatures were going to look like. So it was like, we got to like, very rarely do you get to see that as you're writing it. And so having that while we were writing the episodes was super, just like an amazing experience to have. It was like it was super fulfilling. And I thought the monsters came across really creepy in the show.
So when you don't have like preliminary sketches and stuff like that, is it just like you just know that they have like sharp teeth, or how does that work? Like, is there like a unified idea that the writers have to come up with, even if they don't have like a picture to reference?
Yeah, like generally there will be sort of like rough, not literal rough sketches, but just like you'll talk roughly about the shape of like what the monster's capabilities are. But obviously, like, it just depends, I think, on the communication between the departments. Like if you already have your department set up, it's like you can communicate with them about like what you can and can't do. Like, going back to what we were talking about, live action versus animation. With animation, you kind of are more able to specify like what the monster is going to look like, or like what like that has to be sort of like written out in the script. But then with production, it's more like, this is what we can get, this is what we can't, and you're sort of like more tied to the restrictions of like what production has the budget for, or what they're able to do. So I feel like with live action, you can be a little more vague with the monsters, and in animation, like you want to be a little more specific.
Wow.
Very interesting. I found a really cool interview with some of the VFX creature design people on the show. Excuse me. Did you guys have? I mean, other than seeing sketches, did you interact with? I mean, I guess COVID, but didn't really get a chance to interact with a lot of those guys too much.
I didn't, because I wasn't like I was more just like writing, so that was
that's what I figured.
Yeah, so it was like more the showrunner's responsibility to do. And I was just like,
Right.
yeah, I was just responsible for scripts.
Yeah, kind of a separate area, I suppose.
Totally.
Interesting things I found in the interview, though, I thought was cool, just kind of being a monster lovers and ourselves, is they talk about how they wanted to make sure there's like a theme in the creature design that the viewer could kind of all gather, that they all come from the same place, like this Gehenna. There's like a vibe that sort of connects them. And you can kind of see that even though they all have sort of like distinct like traits about them.
Yeah.
And I thought it was also interesting. I think Spectral was one of the companies that worked on there, and they said they wanted to. He said he wanted to keep Kevin McTurk of Spectral is the person in this interview. He said we wanted to make these creatures terrifying. One thing we noticed on all of our projects was having a creature with no eyes and just a gaping mouth with teeth is always terrifying. So we definitely took advantage of that with the Brute and the Echo characters.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's all of that is so true. And I think like it was also, if I remember correctly, that came from Casey as a result of like, in Gehenna, it's this like, it's the underworld, it's hell, it's like very dark. And so the idea of like, you see those fishes that are down in like the Mariana Trench or whatever, and they have like no eyes, but like giant teeth, like a huge like mouth with like whatever piranha sized teeth, or I don't know, but like that sort of like one-to-one design aspect. It was like kind of, I guess, like where a lot of that is taken from.
Actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Gehenna is supposed to be like super dark, right?
Yeah, like there's no light permeating it at all. Yeah, so that's pretty much where that comes from, I believe.
I also love that it's all pretty much, other than I think maybe the tongue that we saw from the hypnotist, it's all pretty much practical effects. Like it was all like suits and molds and clay and sculpted suits that people wore. It's really cool to see.
Totally. I 100% love that too. Like that's so much more interesting to me than like green screened or CGI stuff.
Yeah. Do you guys, of the main three monsters, you guys have a favorite?
To me, the scariest monster is the dad. That's the true horror, in my opinion, is that, and also like the sort of like the blind sort of following that the cult has towards, authority. That's to me the scariest.
Yeah. You guys got like great casting with that dude. He's really good at like just playing like a dead-eyed sociopath. Like
totally.
You can tell it don't matter if it's his daughter or anybody, like you could get it if you're against him.
Yeah. 100%. Seeing his audition tape come in was so chilling, because we wrote like sides for the character, and so like having him, he really like brought that character to life. Like we started writing towards him after we saw him play it like that. He was like incredible.
Yeah, he's definitely like he's one of those guys in the industry. Like you see him in everything, and he's always like just reliable as like when you bring him in. Like he just knows the assignment. He gets it.
Exactly.
Oh man, I guess for me the scariest monster. I'll agree. The dad is definitely the scariest conceptually, but like in a more like immediate, if I open the closet, like what would freak me out the most kind of way, probably the Brute.
The big one?
Yeah, the biggin. He really scares me.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I can see that, yeah.
Agreed.
I feel like I'd have to go with the Echo for me, I think.
That one is, that's terrifying too. Like I think it's just goes back to the whole like not knowing where it is or like where it's coming from. To me that's also like a terrifying thought.
See, I have no situational awareness, so if it's like being that sneaky and like hiding in reflections and stuff, I'm good. I'm never gonna see it coming anyway.
Fair enough. I think I grew up too much with horror films, so I'm always like looking in the corners of mirrors. So I would probably that's why that would get me.
You're just primed for certain doom.
I guess I am.
I guess it's like if you already know your role in a horror movie, like if you're going to be the first to go, then sure, like the echo, least amount of pain, least amount of like, the dreaded feeling of being chased by something. Yeah, I'd pick that too. But I guess like if you have on some level, like some belief that you're going to make it out of there, I feel like the brute would be the easiest to outrun, perhaps. To me, probably the least scary is the hypnotist, only because I'm like, if I saw that fucker in the woods, I'd bolt, like there'd be no way he'd get me close enough to like be under his spell. So I could outrun that thing quick.
Yeah, if you're wearing a robe in the woods, it's a wrap. Like, I don't need to know anything else.
Yeah.
Red flags.
Yeah.
Yeah. And he's the one with the gold mask that we see. And his way of like kind of attracting victims is like, I mean, he hypnotizes them, but they basically makes them see what they want, people what they want, and just brings them to his little nook to, I think, eat them, right? Does he eat them?
Yeah, like he's basically like draining their life force. Like I think he's like sustained by blood. And honestly, like probably if I had to say the one that I would choose to like go toe to toe with, it would be the hypnotist, because that sounds like actually like a pretty serene way to go, like to be shown.
Right, I was just thinking that too.
It's kind of like a drug addiction in a way. Like if you're like severely, like people who kill themselves with like, opioids or heroin, which I have a lot of sympathy for. I'm just saying, like, I could totally understand, like, like that level of being like going away, but also being like incredibly in this like state of serenity and bliss and euphoria. Like, yeah, I would, I sign me up. I'm there.
Yeah, if you had to choose, between those, that's probably the best way.
Totally.
Depending on how quickly the mirror one kills people, I'm going to go with that. I'd rather die in ignorance than bliss.
That would be a really hardcore death. Like I would, I would, if I wanted to, like, because like, what is it in episode 4 when they open up the bathroom and it like spoons is,
spoons.
Spoons.
Oh my god! I really wanted his neighborhood boys to have like airbrush Spoons shirts.
Yeah,
like that would have been such
Spoons.
a great like R.I.P. Spoons. Like
the airbrushed, that in loving memory of Spoons.
Exactly. Like I know they've gone out of fashion, but they need to come back. That's just a great like. Yeah. That's a great tribute. Joe, if a monster ever takes me out, I want to be airbrushed.
I will remember that. Well, it's recorded, so now I always remember it.
Please.
Yeah.
I don't want to have to die to wait for an airbrush sweater. I think I'm just going to go make them. I'm going to go down to
You're
Venice
just going to make
Beach.
memorial airbrush shirts for yourself? That's a flex. Felicia. I respect that.
That's kind of like, it's like why I was like watching Sex and the City again recently, and the Samantha, the like, the character who's kind of like the perpetual like, I guess you would call her the what is it? Oh my God, what's that guy's name in Entourage? Not Toad.
Turtle?
Yeah. No, she's not the turtle of Entourage. She's the other one, the brother.
Drama?
Drama. Kind of. Yeah, she's just perpetually like having sex with people. Anyways, like
Oh, that's Vince. That's the main guy, yeah.
Oh, Vince. Okay. Well, anyways,
yeah.
Whomever she is in the show, she's like, she was like upset that she would never have, like, she was basically sort of like spiteful of the fact that she would never have like a baby shower. So she was like, I'm not going to throw a baby shower. I'm going to throw a party for myself for not having a kid. It would be like that, but like to make those sweaters of in loving memory. And then, actually that would be a great like party favor for like a birthday party for like turning 30, like in memory of your 20s, and then just have like pictures where you look really hot in your 20s airbrushed on a sweater. I think I'm going to do that.
Ooh, do it. Yeah. Honestly, there need to be more like birthday parties that are funeral themed, because like that's when all the nice stuff gets said about you,
Yeah,
so like
totally.
You should get to go to at least one of your funerals. I will hope that for you. I wish that for you.
That'd be great.
Yeah.
I'd invite you both.
Oh, thank you.
I will RSVP yes.
Same. Already RSVPing yes.
Dope.
Speaking of funerals, Khalid.
Oh lordy.
Oh my god.
I don't think that bears hold funerals, but maybe perhaps they do. Anyway, that was a segue to the four bears test.
You can't just say something's a segue. Like it either is or it isn't. You don't.
It absolutely was.
Okay.
It worked.
Well,
okay. I liked it.
You know what? All right,
Thank you.
Felicia,
Thank you.
I will allow you to give him the rescue on this one. He so rarely gets it. All right. So the four bears test, if this is your first time listening to this, is basically a little thought experiment of like, what if you replace the monster we're talking about with four bears? Does the story more or less stay the same? Does it change? Yeah. So that's pretty much it. Four bears. I guess let's go. For me, it depends, right? Because like we've got the three monsters we're talking about. So for two of them, I don't think bears can hypnotize you. Thank God. So that's a straight up.
We don't think so.
I don't think so. Like that's true. That's true. Like how would you know? How would you know if bears can hypnotize or not? You're dead already if they get you.
Right.
I don't think that they can hide in like pocket dimensions that you only see in reflections. But the brute, I think that's the closest thing we've got to something that's like equal to about 4-ish bears. But that's, I don't know. What would you say, Felicia? I feel like that thing is like tantamount to like a bear and a half strength wise. I feel like you say.
Yeah, I mean, I think honestly, maybe to the people of that city, actually, like changing the monsters to four bears would make more sense than having demons from hell appear with the sudden appearance of like a mysterious cult girl, you know? So to the characters in the story in the town, four bears actually makes it make more sense. But
they're probably very equipped for four bears, if anything.
Exactly.
Like that's that. Regionally speaking, four bears is not a threat to them. If anything, that's just like a daily occurrence.
Yeah, four bears would have actually solved a lot of the problems, plot holes, and all of that, probably in a lot of the townspeople's minds. But from a viewership level, can you imagine if in the writer's room I was just like, oh, what if instead we just, change them to four bears? Actually, that ties up a lot of the questions that everybody would have. Like, it would be like an answer, like in order to sort of like tell all the townspeople, like nothing, there is no door to Gehenna. This is all just a figment of your imagination. It was four bears this whole time.
It's just bears. It's just bears.
Just bears.
Well, you said there's nothing lined up for a potential season 2. So you got something. You got something in the back pocket now. I'm letting you have that one.
That's hilarious. Thank you.
You can bring four bears into the writer's room anytime too. You can have it.
I will say though, I think in regards to this series, the story just doesn't happen the same way if it's four bears. It's way too much magic shenanigans. Although I do like the idea of like a cult on the outside of town that's like just training their kids to kill four bears.
Yeah.
Like every day since birth, they've just been preparing to like fight four bears and four bears only. That's cool to me.
The rare occurrence when four bears are together.
Yeah. Although, and the other way to think about it is the threat of the three demons at once equal to four bears? Which at that point, I think the three demons actually outweigh the threat ultimately.
Could the demons fight the four bears? Could they take on those four bears? I actually don't know.
Yeah, can you hypnotize a bear? That's gonna heavily influence my answer.
Yeah, I have questions.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think they would be taken out by the four bears for sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Especially if the bears also have the ability to hypnotize, which we have not been able to definitively say one way or another if they can.
Yeah, true. Like what do you hypnotize them with? Like pieces of salmon? I don't know. Like that to me, it just doesn't. I think they could take them for sure.
All right, you heard it here from the writer. The four bears win. in a fight against those demons.
It's official.
Yeah, it's still technically a fail as far as what the Four Bears test is, but at least we know for sure Four Bears could kick those demons' butts.
I'm curious, how often do the Four Bears, this test, like how often do the Four Bears win?
I have to really take liberties with like what the Bears can do in any given situation, but I would say it's like 30-70 at this point. What do you think, Joe?
I mean, I feel like we've been doing a string of monsters that really don't pass the Four Bears test for a while, but
the more nuanced a monster is, the more nuanced a monster is, the harder it gets to like to say that Four Bears could replace it. Basically, anytime like the monster has like intelligence, it's a kind of a done deal. Or if it's like a kaiju, it's a done deal. But
especially any of those the ones that possess people. We've done a few of those recently, and so like that just incompatible.
Exactly. Like if the whole thing that the monster is doing is like using people to sneak by or hide in plain sight, like a bear can't wear a human as a suit. You know, that's just an automatic fail.
Yeah,
I see.
Doesn't work. But our very first episode that we ever did was the host that
Bong Joon-ho.
Bong Joon-ho movie, yeah. And I feel like that's where you came up with the Four Bears test, because you just like offhandedly said Four Bears would probably do the same amount of damage. She's like, that's how I'm going to judge. That's how I'm going to judge monsters from now on. And then you thought, and I was like, I'm going to bring that back. And you thought I was joking.
Yeah, no, I did that thing that I unfortunately do every once in a while, where I'll just like keep talking until something ridiculous comes out, and then I'll stand by it like it's like an actual metric that I should honor. So like in that case, I was like, this is a good movie because you could replace the monster with Four Bears and it would stay the same. And the further I've gone into this show and tried to apply that metric to anything else, like the less confident I am that that's true.
This is like your guys'
It worked for the host.
This is your Bechdel test, the Four Bears test.
Exactly. Yeah. Is a bear named? Does it talk to another bear about anything other than humans?
Anyway, Khalid, speaking of talking to people about humans, would you fight or would you flirt with the monsters in question?
That's a reach, man. That one's a reach.
That was a pretty good one.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks.
Okay, fight or flirt. That's my other segment. It's exactly what it sounds like. Would I fight or flirt a monster that we're talking about? So with the hypnotist one, you can't really fight it because like if it's coming for you, it's already got you, and it's like snares. And like I don't know, like can you flirt while hypnotized, like under the influence? If I can flirt, or like if I have the wherewithal to flirt while hypnotized, then I'm gonna flirt. The mirror one, I'd make like a lot of like goofy faces in the mirror. I don't know if other people do this, but like, you know, like you just like every time you catch a reflection of yourself, like if you make a face, like I always make a face. So like I feel like, especially if I didn't know that the monster was like watching me from the mirror, it would like see like the whimsy that like I just naturally like carry around with myself, and it would be like charmed by that and taken aback, and I would be accidentally flirting with it. So I'm gonna choose flirt for that one. And then for the brute, you gotta fight the brute. I mean, there's just no talking to that guy. That thing's there for a fight, you know. You saw what it did to Spoon's friends. So it's gonna be a flirt fight for me. What about you, Joe?
Flirt was a flirt fight.
Yeah,
you said.
Yeah.
I mean, you're always on point with them. Like I can't really ever disagree with you.
Do you ever predict like what I'm going to say in those situations?
No, but convince me. You always convince me. I would say that the one I most want to flirt is the Echo, just because like there's a lot of interesting things going on there. Just knowing like the contortionism that goes into it, I feel like there'd be a lot of interesting things if we developed some sort of relationship down the road. So I mean, that's the most flirtable for me. But so, I mean, I guess I don't know. The main characters fought the hypnotist, so I kind of think I could fight it.
They only fought the hypnotist with like Carrie's help, though. Like if it was just them, they're screwed. Like I'm assuming I don't have a metal armed like battle warrior with me.
Fair. So I don't know. Maybe if that's the case, if I don't have the battle warrior, then flirt. Yeah.
If I have
I'm
the
with you.
metal arm battle warrior at all ever, it's always fight. That's just a given. Like
True.
You just gotta like give them like words of encouragement as they do their thing.
The arm was sweet.
Yeah, the arm was sick. I
Yeah.
can't believe we didn't talk about it more. But yeah, the blade arm. That's always. I love a good weapon appendage.
Yes.
Yeah.
Completely.
Felicia, how about you? Fight or flirt?
I think with the hypnotist, I would flirt because it seems like the path of least resistance. Like feels like the hypnotist in some ways maybe wants to be flirted with. Like if you think about it, like he kind of just seemed like he wanted a friend. So
Learning hypnotism feels like a pickup artist move, you know?
Yeah,
like
exactly. He's out there alone in the woods. Like I'm sure he could use some company, and if we can come to some sort of agreement, I would not be opposed to flirting with the hypnotist. So I would flirt with the hypnotist. I would fight the Echo because I just feel like also I don't know why, but she seems like the most easy to escape in some ways. Like if you just stare at yourself in the mirror, which I'm doing pretty much like 70% of the time of my like in my life anyways, like wouldn't be that hard. So I could fight that pretty easily. And then the brute probably just I mean, there's no way I'm I just don't have the capacity to fight the brute, so I'll probably flirt with it too. Also, because the brute, in my opinion, kind of hot, would not be opposed. So there we go.
All right.
It would be a
okay.
flirt situation.
Wow. All right. I respect
I like
that.
it. Very cool. How often do you think about fighting or flirting with the monsters while writing them?
Oh my gosh, what a good question. I think in some like like I think monsters, if you're not on some level as attracted to a monster as you are terrified of it, then you're not writing it right. Like I feel like the things that we're most repulsed by are the things that we maybe find some level of like understanding or recognition with, or even attraction. Like if you think about the scariest, well, in my opinion, one of the scariest scenes in The Shining, which is like when Jack is embracing the hot like naked chick, and then she turns into like this disgusting like repulsive old decomposing like corpse. It's like that sort of balance. The things that are most scary are the things that you might actually be kind of like titillated by.
Damn. I love that answer because you took a question that I thought was dumb and made it really intelligent.
Despite your best efforts, Joe, she made a poignant answer out of it.
That was a great answer.
Well, do you agree? I mean, like, let's think about, the things that we're most terrified about. Like, is it in some ways, like on some level, it's the thing that you're most attracted to as well, don't you think?
I think it's a good point because like there's such extreme feelings. So it's like I've read it. I feel like I read it. This is kind of tangential, but I read an interview, I think I feel like it was Danny McBride and David Gordon Green about writing Halloween, about how writing scares and writing humor was similar because you're looking for like a similar reaction, even though they're going in different directions.
Oh, totally.
And I think like with like attraction and fear, it's a similar sense in that how they're both extremes of this sort of like in it, this like primal almost like feeling. And so yeah, there's got to be like similarities that have to be shared there.
Yeah, I mean that I didn't know that he had said that in that article, but I completely agree because it's like when you think about like because I mentioned before I like horror and I like comedy, and I think like it's the same thing. You always want to do something a little unexpected. Like both comedy and horror have that element of like surprise at the end of it, which one of it makes you laugh, what the other one makes you scared. And I think like when you look at it on a spectrum, it's like being scared and being relieved, like those are opposite ends, but you kind of need one in order to like have like the other. So like I think the scariest moments in horror movies are like when you feel relief and then the scare comes. Like I was just looking at this tweet that was like talking about one of the scariest scenes in cinema history. And they were kind of joking, but I think there's some truth to it. Is in Signs when you see the alien for the first time. Did you see this tweet?
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't see the tweet, but I that's like the one movie I've like literally gasped out loud in the theater. I remember it so vividly.
And it's so scary. Yeah.
What's the tweet?
Well, it was just saying like it was just a screenshot of that, like the alien walking across the video camera footage, and then it was like this was the scariest moment in cinematic history, and then everybody was like commenting on the bottom like yes, like totally, and the reason it's so scary is because right before you see the alien, it's funny because Joaquin Phoenix is like looking at the footage and he's like, "Move, children, vamonos," and it's kind of like absolutely absurd, like that he would say that is kind of funny. And so for a brief moment you're like sitting in that and you're like laughing, and then all of a sudden the alien comes out and you're just like holy fucking shit, and it's like there's almost like no scarier, like it's the buildup of tension and the release of like that feeling. But anyway, so yeah, to have that sort of like, you know, again, attraction and then fear, like they're in combination, working together, like that makes it scarier, in my opinion, because it's almost like you can't really trust your feelings.
We got to do Signs on the podcast because I have thoughts on that.
I would love to. Yeah. We are. Yeah, I suppose we are getting long on this. It's one of the longer episodes, which is a lot of good conversation. But we should probably get to our final segment of the podcast. And Felicia, our final segment is we just kind of go around and share something that we're reading, listening to, watching, or just into that may or may not have anything to do with monsters or the show we talked about or anything. Just something we think our fans might dig. Our fans, I say like we have fans, but
our legions of fans,
our denizens of them. But it's a segment we call "What the Fandom," and I'll let you go last, Felicia, so you can think. And okay. Khalid, why don't you start us off? What the fandom with you?
Thank you for asking, Joe. My What the Fandom this week is going to be a nice little store in Highland Park, actually. It's called Big Bud Press. I was actually there a few hours ago today. They make a lot of like really cool, usually like monochromatic, but then sometimes they'll have like striped stuff or floral print stuff, but it's like jumpsuits, overalls, and then they've also just got like your standard like sweats, shorts, and stuff like that too. But it's a really cool small store out here in LA, but you can also find them online. All of their clothes is made in America. It's really good quality. It's a little bit pricier. Like I would say that it's more of like a splurge item, at least for me. Like if I'm going to get something from there, spoiler alert, I got myself a little jumpsuit from there today, which I'm hype about. But yeah,
Ooh.
I'm very excited to show out with it. But yeah, so that's going to be my simple What the Fandom this week. Check out Big Bud Press online if you're not in the LA area. If you are in the LA area, their physical store in Highland Park is really cute. A lot of cool shops and restaurants near it too. You should definitely check it out. Joe, What the Fandom with you?
Oh, that's pretty cool. Thanks.
Yeah.
Khalid, I will say, in some redeeming factor, way back to what we're talking about, the Minneapolis St. Paul debate, I am moving to a neighborhood in St. Paul that is called Highland Park as well. So that makes it kind of cool. Yeah.
Yeah, if you say so.
Yeah. So thanks. Anyway, my fandom is, I will say, I also piggybacking of one you had a couple episodes ago, I finally saw Everything Everywhere All at Once. Loved it.
Yeah.
Second to your recommendation. So good. But the one that I was thinking about shouting out today, I just today watched the finale of Abbott Elementary season 1. And I have quickly fallen into love with that show, like right away from the get-go. I like the mockumentary format for one thing. I think that's fun, but I am a teacher in an elementary school here in Minneapolis. And so I just feel like there is, they got so much right. I mean, there's a lot of silliness, of course, to it. That's not entirely true. Like they're often like wandering to each other's classrooms. Like I can't just do that and leave the kids, but there is so much stuff that they get right. Like I remember even just like texting my coworkers, and we'd have like a group text because we'd watch the episodes, and they'd be like, "Oh, that seems familiar. That seems familiar." Or like one of them where she like gets a ladder to change the light bulb. I'm like, that legitimately happened in our school with another coworker of mine. Got a ladder to fix something up high because it was not getting fixed. Oh
wow.
Like another teacher did that. And it's like this feels real, and it's funny, and it's like refreshing to kind of see some of that stuff played out. And the cast is phenomenal. The humor is great. It's just a really, and it's really sweet too. Like a really, really all around wonderful show. And I'm happy that it's around, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So that's my recommendation. If you haven't gotten around to watching it, I think all 13 episodes are now available to watch on Hulu, I think.
Shout out to Reek, who plays the main character Janine's boyfriend that we see in a couple episodes. I have been sporadically in my mind going, if somebody try to give you drugs, punch them in the face. Like at least like 2-3 times a week. It'll just come back in my head and I'll just start like laughing. It's so funny.
It's an earworm.
Yeah, it is. It's a bop for sure.
Yeah.
I got to check it out. I got to check both those things out for sure.
Please do. If you're a jumpsuit aficionado, especially.
Well, yeah, I've been thinking about it. They've been, coming around a lot in my friend groups, and I was thinking about getting my own, but yeah, that's a great rec. I guess.
How about you, Felicia? What's the fandom with you?
I guess for me, so I've actually been quarantined the last 10 days in Taiwan because I came back to visit my family, where like my whole extended family lives, and they have like a very strict, like no leaving the house policy for the first 10 days that you're here. So what I've been geeking out on a lot is I've been using this streaming service called Mubi, Mubi.
Nice.
And it's great. Like I have so much access to like foreign cinema and art house movies, and they do like this really brilliant curation where they show you all these, they sort of curate it based on like different like film, I guess like genres, but not even about like, it's not even like action or thriller or comedy or romantic comedy. It's more like movements in cinema history. So I was watching like French New Wave stuff, but also the cinema of realness, which is like this subset of like French cinema. It's called Cinema du Real, and I saw like a bunch of like great movies through that lately. And they just have like, they do a great like roundup of reviews and showcasing like really like small indie features as well, and as well as like filmmakers' first films. So it's just a great service, and I think if you do a trial, like you can get the first like 2 months for $1 or something. So it's just great. I think it's wonderful.
Wow,
cool. I'll definitely check that out.
Same.
Yeah.
All right. Well, Felicia, thank you so much for coming on today. This has been such an amazing discussion. It was really fun talking to you.
Thanks for having me on. It was great to talk with you guys. Yeah, I hope you have a very easy and good move and enjoy Highland Park. Thank you. Thanks for having me on. I had so much fun, and it was such a blast talking to you guys about movies and creatures and horror flicks. And it was fun. It was great.
Is there any social medias or anything you want to plug or shout out, or where people can find you? I'm
on Twitter, embarrassingly and against my will. It's my name, Felicia, S like Shannon, H-O. But I don't really tweet that much. I'm extremely online, and yet I try not to be. I try to pretend like I'm not online, but I see everything, and it's horrifying.
Like a fly on the wall kind of a thing.
Yeah, it's like staring into the abyss, and I can't look away, despite everything I try to do.
I'm kind of in that same boat. I respect that.
Yeah,
it's a good way to describe Twitter.
Yeah. Joe, where can people find you, follow you?
Oh yeah, Twitter, I think I'm also Instagram, Letterboxd, that kind of stuff. Just Joe Praska in my name.
Yep, and you can find me at Khalid Hussein. I'll be like randomly putting out dumb jokes, but otherwise I'll just be doing the Felicia thing, watching everybody else put up dumb jokes.
You could follow the podcast if you want at Frankenpod, not an Al Franken podcast. Frankenpod.
Not yet. Not an Al Franken podcast yet. We're in talks with their people. Once the money sounds right, it will absolutely pivot.
TBD.
All right. Well, thank you guys for listening to another episode of Frankenstein's podcast. Please rate and review wherever you listen. And until next time, creep it easy.